so much, Charu. It's my privilege to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Mohamed Kasim Paliathazhathu, Chairman and Pediatrician of Al Shifa Medical Group in UAE. He's a veteran medical practitioner for more than 40 years in the Gulf. He's a successful entrepreneur, educationalist, and has been doing extensive philanthropic activities both in Gulf and in India. In addition to his medical background, his experience in the hospitality and educational sector is enormous. He's also the chairman of Hotel South Regency in Cochin, as well as trustee in reputed schools in Kerala. His social and philanthropic activities as chairman of Santhanam Trust, Thrissur, Kerala, vice chairman, Kidney Federation, India, president of Association of Kerala Medical Graduates, Dubai chapter, founder President Puram, and various other associations have been a good platform to give more to the society. He has traveled widely, and his knowledge and experience is an asset to the younger generation who are the future citizens of our society. Dear speaker, we will be hearing a short buzzer prior to 5 minutes of the session ending time and a long buzzer exactly at the end of session. Thank you. Welcome, sir. Over to you for the session.
Hi, welcome to all the panelists, delegates, participants, and the technical support behind. Thank you, the introducer, for the very nice and detailed introduction. I'm very proud of this doctor. I'm a practicing pediatrician in Dubai and graduated from the Calicut Medical College nearly 50 years ago. I started my medical college in 1968 at Calicut. And later on, went to the Gulf, joined in the Ministry of Health in Oman. And after my brief, training and work experience there, I went to Austria, the University of Vienna, and took a postgraduate degree in pediatrics, spent some time in Europe, and then spent nearly 15 years in Saudi Arabia, and now last 20 years in Dubai. I'm talking to you from the comfort of my home in Dubai. I'm a proud Indian and from the literate state of Kerala. And as you know that we are a very empowered and literate state with better qualitative healthcare, natural beauty, and good living standards. Unfortunately, the unemployment rate is very high, with hundreds of thousands of youth looking for jobs in other states of India or in Arabian Gulf or in other developed countries in the US, Europe, Australia, or anywhere else. I think wherever there is an opportunity, the Malayali is there, very much there. In spite of their high educational profile, the practical work training is poor and were technophobic until recently. We were once led by politicians to resist change to automation and computerization. There was a time tractors were prevented, computers was prohibited, and even discouraged English education. Fortunately, the same politicians now realize the importance of modern technology, and there is an awareness to change new with our new technoparks, smart cities, and more computerization up to e-commerce and e-governance. We all now know this world is changing with lots of technological innovation in every field of modern living. Smartphone apps, banking, money transfers, online shopping, electrical cars, driverless Google automobiles, 3D printing, artificial intelligence, and many, many internet-oriented technologies, which makes human life very comfortable. All these changes reduce the requirement of manpower, unfortunately. It is time to concentrate on the jobs which will be in demand in future and avoid those careers which are getting sidelined. Our old education system of creating millions of graduates without the work orientation of day-to-day life should change. The day of aspiring only for government jobs should end, as these government jobs will not be there anymore. The youth should get educated for technology-oriented jobs ready to embrace e-governance, e-commerce, and also new startups. Me as a pediatrician, see hundreds of children in my daily practice. Last 44 years, I have been practicing pediatrics in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and Dubai, and in Oman. As part of my interaction with children, I always chat with them, try to counsel them what their motives are. It's sort of inspirational talk with their parents and ask them routinely what do you want it to be in your future. 90% of children, even today, are telling that I want to be a doctor or an engineer or a doctor or a professional like that. But if the child did not say, the parents will, push him to say that I want to be a doctor or a professional. Very rarely you see them. They want to be entrepreneurs. They want to be business magnates or many other professions. But of course, there is change nowadays. Probably the change going on in our mother country is probably giving them these options. Now there are more children saying that we want to be, they want to be environmentalists, animal lovers, charity workers, social leaders. Even many of them are opting to be IAS and IPS officers, and even politicians. Recently, when I asked a child, what about his goal? He said, I want to be a minister. It was a real, interesting for me. I gave him a gift, because that was a big change I noticed. Even people are opting to be politicians, which never was a priority maybe 20 or 30 years ago. See, now there are tremendous interest in, sports, in arts, and as, film industry and fashion designing, even as administrative managers. Certainly, as we all know, their talents and passion should be the criteria to choose their career. I think this is getting more pressed out now. When I got into a medical college in, say, 1968, about 52 years ago, getting, an MBBS was a big thing. And my goal was only to be a doctor. Then came the specializations, then came the super specializations. So now MBBS is like a, general practitioner. And, it has no much value because, medicine is specialized into so much deeper. And now the technology getting added, So that was not the priority, but it has to be the priority now. And that is this webinar today is giving a direction to the changing scenario in the job market, awareness of the situation, expected change in the employment opportunities should be educated and made to understand to not only the students, but parents, teachers, and to the public in general. Schools, there must be change in the school and college curriculum. And there must be new syllabus, making change for the better. There must be more practical training from the educational institutions to take up these new challenges. It's a reality that automation and new technology are going to change faster even on a short term. You all know that now driverless cars is going to be a reality soon, replacing professional drivers in millions. As you all know that Dubai has already tested a driverless car on an experimental basis, and it was very successful. The roads and infrastructure in a city like Dubai is very ideal to start it as early as possible. And they are, the very visionary leadership of this country is thinking of adapting to these new innovations as fast as possible. So these driverless cars can make revolutions. Not only you lose cars, probably owning a car may not be a necessity because you can get a car like an Uber. You can get a car of your choice anytime. And there is no hurdle of driving. There is no hurdle of parking. And there is no hurdle of even owning it. Why should you invest on a car? You can have a car at your service anytime of your choice. So it's going to be a big change. Driverless Google cars will reduce accidents. And hence probably the significance. Insurance companies will have huge, loss of business. And, even these cars are less prone to produce accidents. So Even the repair cost will come down. We don't need even, and the parts won't be necessary as it is today. And even the importance of workshops and service centers and spare parts, will lose their markets. Electrical cars will reduce maintenance. They are long lasting, and we don't need any more diesels and petrols on a long term. So imagine the boomerang in the oil industry. There will be there will be no more further investments in oil industry, and many opportunities will be lost in that sector as well. Banking, I know that you all know this, but it's a reality. You should be known when you choose your future careers. New artificial oriented technologies are already transforming banking sector very seriously. It's already started. This will end up more and more bank mergers, and many branches will disappear. More and more transactions through smart platforms, cashless platforms, and will revolutionize the payment system and other banking facilities. And so, hence, again, a lot of manpower will be lost there. Medicine. This is a field. Telemedicine and teleconsultations will access to the best doctors from all over the world. This will not only make the best doctor available to you on your fingertip, but also will be more affordable and more easier. Same way, medicines can be bought online. You don't need require these thousands of pharmacies and commercial areas and pharmacists. When you easily get them cheaper than the from a pharmacy through online shopping, which is already become a reality in many cities, even in India. It's getting very common already. So e-commerce, not only in these areas, online shopping has been a very popular with now into COVID-19 and lockdowns all over the world. Online shoppers have multiplied, many times, creating many billionaires in online industry. Further innovations will reduce a lot of malls, commercial spaces, and hence jobs, of course. There are many other areas, many sectors going to change dramatically. I'm sure you all know that there will be no sector these sort of changes do not affect, with such technological advances. E-governance. And imagine, proper e-governance company, which is actually happening in Dubai, very much. They are paperless. There are no more files. There are no red tapes. There are no corruption. There is no chance for a corruption. When you are applying on any permissions or any renewals or any taxations on online, the chances of corruption vanishes, and speed and ease of comfort to the public population goes. So e-governance, not only it's a question of losing job, brings transparency, bring efficiency and accountability. And I'm sure these are already happening. This is not no more a future change. It is already happening. So one has to look for new areas developing from these demise of these sectors, and devise into these sectors and find your place where you have to specialize in for your future jobs. Artificial intelligence remains the best option, fitting into the best option fitting to every section of the future employment. Startups take on the new opportunity. Is a good tool. There are startups, in no time making money, and these new ideas with smaller investments and with individual investors can really transform, a person to a small beginner to a billionaire. IT training should be the base training for every prospective employer and employee. I think without IT, now no sector works. The message is very clear. We have to understand the requirement of the present generation. The millennials and the so-called Generation Z, they are looking for certain comforts. They want to have life and employment going together. They need the flexibility to have a decent life and a job going. And they want sustainability, progress, training, and adequate remuneration in their future jobs. And it is possible. It is possible. This is not the end of the world. See, there was a time when a computer came, we thought that everything lost. There was a time when there are more doctors, the diseases will disappear. It is not that way. When you go back, me as a doctor, I can tell you that, initially when we passed out in the 70s, our challenges were infectious diseases. And with vaccinations and good living standards, most of these infections disappear. Now, no more, many viral infections. Like, smallpox is already eradicated, polio is already eradicated, and many, like tetanus, like diphtheria, many diseases are already vanished with proper vaccinations and good livings and education. And of course, with better affluence. But, but other diseases stay. So then we came, now you see that, there are lifestyle diseases now, which is again, so there is again opportunities come. So diabetes, hypertension, heart attacks, and now cancers, they have become more and more common or more and more easily diagnosed. So then the opportunities again come in those areas, but you have to change the direction. Similarly, now when telemedicine comes, I don't think there is anything to worry. The healthcare industry, education industry, and all these industries have to thrive, but in a different way. And we should look for opportunities where these new areas are developing. Where is the requirement? That should be the drive, for the new generation to take up these areas. And we as Indians, see, I'm very proud to say that, as an Indian doctor, we are respected and trusted, in all over the world. In Gulf, I think everybody knows that there is a huge demand for Indian doctors, Malayali doctors, there is huge demand. But I think we deserve to be much more. We Indians, we deserve to be much more, and we can do it better if the training is a little more oriented this way, and if we develop certain weaknesses we have in our system, if we correct this way. I'm sure our governments are working in this direction, and we hope we will find a new India, catering to these requirements, and coming to the forefront of the world scenario, and we will have a much more, acceptable and deserving position what we deserve in the future days to come. And I always remember, the movie by Amir Khan, The Three Idiots. Whenever you choose a career, you have to know that your talents and your passion is very important. And with hard work, I think, as the previous speaker, Dr. Sohan Roy said, you repeatedly work on something, you will get to achieve that. Very true. So you have to identify the talents what you have. You have to know what passion is running you, and along with the hard work, I think any person can achieve a good career even in this part. But I think be aware that there is a lot of changes happening, and we have to prepare ourselves for this change. I hope there were some good words for the young generation to take up, and we have to create jobs within our state, within our country, rather than we look forward to other countries. So we have to create this place. I from Kerala. I think we cannot have much big industries there. See, because of the high land cost, high labor cost, but we can have IT platforms. We can have good educational institutions. We can develop our infrastructure and create very good tourism projects. These are all very practical in our state to create jobs. And I'm sure that will make our Mother India, as well as our state of Kerala, a beautiful place with a lot of peace, prosperity, and comfort. Wish you all a very good time. Thank you once again. I want particularly to thank Dr. Sahib Cholail for giving this opportunity to come in this platform and talk to you, and also to the whole technical support for giving this, global, webinar a big success. Thank you. Thank you once again. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insightful session, for imparting your knowledge and sharing experiences. This can be really helpful for the budding entrepreneurs. Sir, we have an e-certificate for you from 3G School of Applied Entrepreneurship to honor your presence. Please accept it, sir.
Thank you
So
very
the
much. Thank you.
certificate will
Thank
be
you.
mailed to
Appreciate.
you.
Thank you.
Join the vision, build India. Join the mission, build India to serve the world.
Join the mission and build India to serve the world.
Join the mission, build India to serve the world.
Join the mission, build India to serve the world.